Here's my gavel. All right, let's call the Emergency Services Committee meeting to order tonight. I'm gonna call the roll first, and then we'll stand for prayer and the pledge. So, I'm here, David Morgan, Shane Eaton, Vice Chair.
Yes.
Will Burnett.
Yes, sir.
Barry Luffman.
Present.
Steve Hagan.
Yes.
Tyler McDowell.
Yes.
Shelton Barnett.
Yes.
And Jay Moore.
Yes.
All right, everyone please stand. Will, would you mind to lead us in prayer tonight, sir?
Dear Father, Lord, we come to you tonight, Lord, as we come forth to do the business to help serve and protect our community, Lord. We ask you to lead us and guide us in what we need to do and make the right decision. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let me see. All right, starting off the agenda tonight is our EMS update and annual rate review, and I will give Kane the opportunity to join us here at the table.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, Michelle sends her apologies for not being here tonight. They took her mother to the hospital by ambulance earlier today. She texted me about an hour ago and said that they were fixing to take her to surgery. So she did hate that she wasn't able to be here tonight. I'll pass around some packets real quick with some information. Just a little update about EMS, a couple things that we did want to mention. First of all, just wanted to give our crews a shout out from the winter weather storm. Our guys did an incredible job. We had crew members who came in on Friday and did not leave until Monday or Tuesday of the next week. They were sleeping on couches and cots and air mattresses, and they were there making sure that we had enough staff to be able to respond to calls we needed to respond to. Was able to access every patient we needed to. Didn't have to tow a single patient out. Sorry, Tyler.
That's good.
But they did an incredible job, and we're super proud of them. As far as the information you have in front of you, the first page is a legislative brief. That is from the Tennessee Ambulance Service Association. We were at their conference last week, and they provided us a legislative update. I'll be going to Nashville this coming week for Tennessee EMS Day on the Hill. And these are the legislative priorities that we will be pushing this year in the Tennessee Assembly. The first one on the top, ground ambulance assessment, that happens every year. That's just a program that get us, if you're familiar with the term kicker payments that we get for those patients, that is that program. It sunsets every year, so we have to have it renewed. TennCare reimbursement shift in funding. What that does is it's related to the assessment program that I talked about just a second ago. But what it does is instead of the services having to pay the assessment fee, which in Tennessee is about $30 million across all EMS services, what that would do is that would shift that $30 million payment to TennCare in the state of Tennessee. So it would put $30 million back into EMS in Tennessee. So that is one of their priorities. Non-emergency transport sustainability. That is to increase TennCare payments from 67.5% to 100% of Medicare rates, but that is strictly for non-emergency.
Let me ask you a question about the second one. So is this a tip of the spear issue for you guys? Looks like y'all got a ton of initiatives. Have you ever, one, is it a tip of the spear thing? Two, is it something that has been presented to the legislature before and been denied? I'm talking about the second one there. You said
so the reimbursement shift in funding, that is not something that we have presented yet. This is, my understanding is the first year that TASA is presenting that to the legislature to have that shift from the services having to pay that assessment fee to the state having to pay.
Got any probability or?
So it does hold a $10 million note. So obviously anything that holds a financial note at state level has to go through that process. So TASA is very, I guess they're cautious with that bill, but they're pushing to try to get that. That's something that other states have already done. So they're trying to get Tennessee to get on board with that as well.
All right, so we need to call our representatives. We need to call Paige Wally.
Absolutely.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. The last one, not the last one, but the second to last, patient protection and fair reimbursement. This is something, if you heard the term in the last couple of years, balanced billing. So there was a federal balanced billing act that went through that included air ambulance. It did not include ground EMS. And originally ground EMS saw that as a positive, that we were not included in the balanced billing act. However, what we're seeing in states all across the country is they are putting in what they call a patient protection and reimbursement, fair reimbursement act. What that does is that requires private insurance to reimburse EMS at a rate that supports the cost of providing the service. Tennessee, they are pushing for 425% of Medicare. That is what my understanding of the state of Texas did. Texas did this, pushed it through, and after their first year, they did a study. It impacted private insurance less than 1%. For them to be required to reimburse us at a rate that supports what it costs to actually provide the service. I had a private insurance payment that come across my desk today. We billed those that company $785. They paid us $70.86. This would require them to pay us at least 425%. Now, 425% is the starting point. There'll probably be some negotiations. I know I looked at Alabama's legislation. They are pushing 200% of Medicare. So that is our highest priority bill that we will be pushing at EMS Day on Hill next week.
That's the highest priority. All right.
The last bill is retirement restructure. It talks about hazard pay for EMS. Fire and police also already have the opportunity to buy hazard hours. So for every 5 years that they work, they can buy a year's worth of service as hazard pay. This would extend that opportunity to EMS providers as well. So that is our legislative update. Talking about billing rates, that is something that we look at every year. The second page is just a letter from our billing company talking about that process, talking about the ambulance inflation factor and what the current Medicare allowable rates are. I've had a couple conversations with our billing company and asked them what they see across services. Most of them say that they typically see services set their rates around the 200%, but some go even around the 225%. But they said a majority of services set their rates at 200% of the Medicare allowable. If you look in the column on the next section under current charges, that is what we currently charge. And then you can see what 150, 200, and 250% of Medicare would come out to be. When I talked with our billing company, one of the things that they said was our rates are a little all over the place. Like you can't say our rates are 100% over Medicare or 150% or 200%. Because some rates are 150%, some rates may be 200%. It's just kind of where we were and
Why
we
is
just
that?
added. So that was based off what the rates were years ago. And when we started increasing those rates, we typically just increased those rates based on a rate.
Same percentage across the board. So,
Yeah. So
you would prefer, they would prefer uniformity, or is it necessary? Or?
it's not required, but they said that that's typically what people do is they just choose one or the other. The only problem with that is if you'll see, that would make some of our rates decrease and it would make some of our rates increase. Now the good thing is, if you look at our run volume and how our runs are billed, a large percentage of our runs are billed at the ALS emergency rate. About 54% of those runs are billed at the ALS emergency rate. Our current rate for that is $1,030. The recommended 200% would be $1,042. So that would increase just a few dollars. But it would make our ALS non-emergency go down a little less than $300. It would make our BLS non-emergency go down a little bit. But they are still completely willing to bill whatever we want to bill.
And this is just
Whatever
what
we
we
want to
bill
set
in
our-
insurance companies.
Correct.
And we may bill it. We may bill Medicare this, but they're looking at that code and what they allow, and that's
Correct.
good.
Yes, sir.
So every year we review these, this time of year, once the Medicare rate has changed and come out. I read in this letter, a 2% change, was it, Medicare
Correct.
this year? So I recommend to the committee that we, make the adjustments, at least make the adjustment to match the Medicare adjustment. That's what we've done over the last few years. We've matched their increase. Last year they didn't do an increase, am I right, Kane?
Correct.
So we did not pass an increase in here. So I recommend that we do increase that rate based upon the inflationary cost of doing the business and taking care of all of our needs. And letting the individuals that have to use the service actually help pay for the extra costs as opposed to property tax dollars filling in the gaps. Yes, sir,
I just
Scott.
got a question. Regardless of what we bill, it would look like whatever the insurance company is determined to be reasonable, customary, whatever term they use. Do we know what that number is? Like if you do a BLS transport, I'm sure all the insurance companies use the same number, or do they not?
So Medicare has a set rate.
Right.
And then as far as private insurance, it's all over the board. Some private insurances will pay every dollar that you bill them. Some private insurances will pay you $70 on a $785 bill.
Okay.
One thing that does come into effect is with that fair reimbursement legislation that we're pushing, the reimbursement will be based on whatever that percentage that Tennessee and TASA agree to, if it's 425 or 200 or whatever, or the locally established rates, obviously whichever is less, would be what they would pay. So we do need to think about that, is if that does get passed, we may need to come back and reevaluate these rates and say, if our rates are below what 425% of Medicare is, we may need to consider that.
Well, they are below that.
Correct.
Like, they're way below.
Correct.
So, Scott, I don't understand the science of how but it's the reality in every kind of healthcare that I know, and you just gotta sue them.
I assumed every insurance company had the same reasonable customary rate, for whatever service it was, whether it be ambulance or a surgery or whatever,
It's aggravating.
And then it also depends on what level of service,
Sure.
and you have the blue plan or the green plan.
So when they say that, you just accept that amount, or do you try to get it from the actual customer, whoever you use? Who used the service? So you have to pay the difference.
So currently, the way the billing company works is they bill insurance. If whatever insurance pays, then our billing company sends the patient a bill. They usually get 2 to 3 bills. If they pay it, they pay it. If they don't, right now our new billing company is putting that into a bad debt spreadsheet, essentially. That is something else that we do need to look at. I know we discussed pursuing a collections agency. I've talked with Brandy. Our understanding is that it was bid out for a collections agency. We know it was put in the newspaper, but we don't know if it was sent out to each collections agencies to submit a bid for that.
Because no one did.
So, because nobody submitted a bid. Our billing company has asked a couple times what we plan to do with the bad debt. Do we plan to write it off, or do we plan to turn it over to collections? They do have a collections agency. I know some people see that as a conflict of interest. The way it's been explained to me is the percentage that you actually get once it goes to collections is so low that they would be better off to get it when they could get the 4% out of it off the beginning. So they have sent some information over to us. If they are interested in putting in a bid when we do bid it out, at least to be considered.
My next question to follow that up is, is there anything we could do here to make it stricter on the insurance companies to pay more of that percentage like they should be? You know what I'm saying?
So right now there's no legislation that requires.
That's what this is about.
So this fair, and this is 2 parts. One part is making sure insurance fairly reimburses us, but the other part is protecting the patients. The patients pay for insurance, they pay for coverage, but then the insurance pays $70, and then the patient gets a bill for $700 or $1,000 or whatever it is, and they either pay it, or if we decide to turn it over to collections, it gets turned over to collections.
And sometimes it's based upon the patient's deductible, if they met their deductible, various things. There's all kind of variables here.
It
You know
is
what I'm
so
saying?
flaky across the board, the way that it works. It's like a friend of ours was needing something for a burn on his leg. Insurance was denying him, said he couldn't, he was gonna have to pay for all of it. That's what my wife does. She's a compliance auditor for Murray Regional. She got a hold of it for him, and he was just needing one, and when she got through with the insurance, he had 4 shipped to him for free. And that was gonna be, the 4 would have run him a little over $2,000. So you can see why he was needing just one. A lot of it on these insurance companies is who is poking them.
Who's persistent? They just tell you no.
To make them go.
If you don't fuss
Exactly.
about it,
And if you stop and think about it, if you're running a business and I price you that bottle for $1,000 and you buy it for $1,000, but I would sell it to you for $5, it's just good business to. Is it right? No, but
it's the way it is.
so that's a thing that there needs to be a way here that we can help those to be able to poke that bear. So, because there's so much that can be gotten.
Mr. Heatherly.
That also makes the billing be fair. So it ensures the patient that the insurance company is paying what they should be paying, but it also keeps us from charging $10,000 for a $500 service. And what I was wanting to say in that is, with the changes that we know is gonna have to happen in EMS coming up, it'd probably be smart to try to get ahead of the curve. That's my thought process.
Yeah, because you think about it, when I came in here, I remember we did this study and we hadn't changed the rates in
20 years.
21 years, and we were leaving money laying on the table that Medicare would have reimbursed us.
Correct.
For every ALS emergency call, just lay on the table. So we dug that hole just by not dealing with it every year. But anyways, we dug ourselves out of that hole. But I did meet, I can't remember what county it is, I got the guy's name written down, but there is one county in the state whose EMS department actually is in the black. And it's because they've got BLS truck, they've got the vans that transport people to dialysis and do all that too, right? And again, we've got private companies that do that in Lawrence County, and it's rare that I ever want to see government get involved and compete with private sector. But at the same time, we will always have a deficit in EMS with property taxes filling the hole if there's not other revenues generated. So something for all of us to think about.
I think what we're seeing with these states out west and Texas, and I believe it's Arizona or Arkansas, it's one of the 8 states out that direction, that have passed this fair reimbursement bill, is, Medicare is typically, Medicare and Medicaid are our highest percentage of patients that we transport. So they're seeing, the private insurance is what is getting that higher rate paid. Medicare and TennCare are still being paid at the normal rates, but at least those private insurance patients are at least offsetting the Medicare and the Medicaid deficit.
So what's your recommendation? 2%, Kane?
That is what the ambulance inflation factor is, so I think that would be acceptable.
At least 2%.
Now, where is that included in this sheet?
So
We need to also think about doing like 200% of this for that curve, right?
That's what I was fixing to ask. If you do this 200% gain, what is it?
So what happens if we do 200% down the line there, is if you compare those rates to what our current charges are, ALS emergency, we're gonna decrease our charge by almost $300. ALS emergency increases by $12. BLS non-emergency decreases, BLS emergency increases, ALS 2 increases, specialty increases, mileage increases. So that would get us in one line, but it also has our ALS non-emergency and our BLS non-emergency decreasing what we charge.
With that, those increases make up that difference.
Yeah, so ALS emergency is 52% of our runs. BLS emergency is 19.5%. BLS non-emergency is 9.5. ALS non-emergency is 7.9. So we're definitely doing well more emergency than we are non-emergency.
If you do this, does that become guaranteed, or is there, so if there's no guarantee and you're still doing it, why not just go to 250 and shoot the moon?
They're gonna give us whatever they wanna give us anyway.
Right, so why not?
Well,
go
and
ahead?
if we do go 250 and they do pass this Fair Reimbursement Act, if it takes us a little bit of time to come back to reevaluate our rates, if they say, yeah, we'll reimburse you 400% and ours are at 250, they're going to reimburse us 250%.
I would
To
think,
increase our rates.
let's say if we do the 250%, and then when that passes, you come to us immediately and say, look, we need to have a meeting,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
That'd be
saying?
like next day.
Yeah.
Well, if they pass it, it'll be effective July 1.
That's true too,
Yeah.
so,
So you'll have time to.
So if that be the case, then we ought to just go with the biggest one, shouldn't
You wanna make that motion?
we? Yeah, I'll make that motion.
All right. Mr. Luffin makes a motion for us to go ahead and go to, oh, sorry.
Is our patients going to potentially be stuck with a higher bill if their insurance still doesn't pay it?
So if
Say the legislation doesn't.
if this does not pass, insurance is going to pay us what they want to pay us,
And
and
the
the
patient still will have
remainder
a higher balance.
is going to be turned over to the patient as a bill.
Yeah, see what
And that's the balance that we have to
Future,
play.
you don't know yet.
Let's not get miserable.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Hold on a minute on that.
Do we get caught in the thing like I go to the doctor and his office visit's $160, goes to my insurance, they knock it down to $80 and I pay $30.
Right.
Do we get caught in that where insurance knocks it down to what they call a reasonable,
Certain-
reasonable?
Certain insurance will pay their allowable.
But I mean, are we in network as an ambulance service? I guess is my question.
So we don't have
If I
any,
get $1,000 bill and my
Yeah, so
insurance
we don't-
knocks it down to $600.
we don't have any in-network contracts.
Yeah, we don't have that option. It's got like hospitals or
Yeah.
will negotiate, like Life Point will negotiate to be in network, right?
Yeah. Well, I was just wondering if they knock it down, do I still have to pay the other $400?
Like my dad, for instance, got picked up our ambulance, and his insurance called my mother and said, "Hey, you're going to have to pay this bill." And she said, "Well, why are you not going to pay it?" "Well, it's because you're out of network with the ambulance service." And she said, "This is the 911 service. We called 911. They came and picked him up." "Well, they're not in network." And she said, "Who am I supposed to call? 911 in Murray County or Lauderdale County, Alabama, and wait?" When it was all said and done with, they were like, "Oh no, ma'am, I'm so sorry." Whenever she said, my son is the assistant director of the ambulance service, they were like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry, we'll pay that bill." But I do think sometimes they do try to play that. Oh, well, they're out of network.
No, I mean, that's what they're gonna do.
Do you know how much bad debt we currently are sitting on?
That would be a brandy.
It would be a brandy question, and it is astronomical.
Oh, I'm sure it's astronomical.
Yes, sir, Todd.
While we're talking about revenue and what costs us money, is it fair to say that we lose a lot of money still on lift assists that are not getting collected? And I want to say that a lot of the lift assists out here are facilities that people's insurance and people's families are paying to be taken care of. And if there's one thing I'd like to see here, while we're talking about rates, I would really like to see some teeth put into these charges that are going out. You spend money on calls that you're not billing for, and I understand we're here to take care of our citizens. That's why we're all here. We're in this room, but we also have to look at the business side of it too. And I talked to Chief Moore about it a lot when I worked for him. We would go to lift assist at nursing facilities and extended care facilities that are getting paid the higher premiums by insurance or out of pocket by family members. I mean, they can put a lien on your house and your property and take it away from you. And every time somebody falls on the floor, they call fire and EMS to come pick them up. that does two things. Number one, you're subjecting your people to work comp injuries from lifting. And the other thing is, it costs money. And I don't believe we would stand by and let co-op call and say, we got a load of feed on the truck that we need unloaded and we only got 2 people here today, so I need the fire department and ambulance service to come do it. But we are allowing these people that are getting paid to do that job to do it. And I guarantee you, if we're in numbers, it is.
So I have looked into that actually. So first of all, we have a non-transport billing policy. We bill people $50. It goes directly to them. Do they pay it? Every once in a while, we'll get a payment from it. We rarely ever go to a actual nursing home for a lift assist because they have the equipment and they have the staff. But assisted living facilities, Keystone, all these places,
But that's the ones that are even making more money.
we go there on a normal basis. There are some states that have passed some laws that would allow EMS to bill a facility exorbitant amounts of money. Unfortunately, the way the rules are written, they can only do that to nursing homes. Assisted livings don't even fall in that category.
Because we have the same situation where people can take a house and make it an assisted living facility as long as they keep it below 4 people. It gets them out of the fire code, which is a safety situation for them, and it gets them, they're still able to be recipients of Medicare funding and stuff like that. But those people will have one person working in there, and every time somebody falls or coughs, they call.
Right.
And it's not that we don't help people. I'm not meaning that.
Right.
We're everybody's down to do that. But I think we're talking about revenue, and I think there's a lot of revenue being spent there. And you lose the employees when they get back in.
Yeah. And I did, when those states started passing that, I was like, oh, we need that. Like, our assisted livings run us to death sometimes. And then when I started looking at it, the legislation that they passed, it only allows them to bill actual nursing homes. It does not allow them to bill an assisted living.
But I guess my question is, if we're billing somebody to come to their house to do it,
Can we build a facility?
can we build the facility?
That would be a Ryan question.
I
That
think
would
it's
be-
something to look at.
That would be the
Legal
answer, in my opinion.
I think too, can research that and see if anybody else is doing it.
So what I've been able to find is, I've not been able to find a single service that builds an assisted living.
Okay.
They build nursing homes. But I will look into that, and I don't mind to have a conversation with Ryan and say, ask if he can look into that and see if there's a legal way that we can do that.
Because either way, we're either get money back or they'll quit calling for
Yeah,
this.
either they're
So
gonna
we're
add
saving
staff
money, we're
on,
gonna get money to
yeah,
save either
or we're gonna get some revenue out of it.
Essentially, right now, it's cheaper for them to not have an employee, just call us.
Exactly, and that's what they do.
They're using the service.
Yeah, let me just say this. So, from my understanding of the law and the county has to provide an ambulance service, right? Whether we contract somebody or whether we own it and run it ourselves. Property tax dollars are understandably understood to be able to be used to have the service available. But when someone needs the service, that it's perfectly fine and respectable to bill that person for that service, right? And they should be paying for that, whether they got Medicare, whether they got TennCare, whether they get Medicaid, whether they have private insurance. So when we consider these rates today, I think we need to consider the rates based on what does it really cost us to do that call? That's really what we need. Like, we need to pay our bills on that. So we're already paying for the building, for the employees to be there waiting for the call, and we know we get several calls a day. So that's coming out of property tax dollars. But like now, but we should at least be breaking even, if not covering our costs on the rest of the calls. And so we got to consider that 54% are Medicare calls and ALS emergency. But like, you got all these other calls that people have private insurance. So I don't know. I think it's something we should very much consider and set the rates accordingly. Phil?
I have no, there's no malice in charging someone for a service. If you've ever been life flighted, which I have been, I paid $30,000 for that flight from Salem Church of Christ to Vanderbilt Hospital. They had no problem billing me every penny of that. And if the situation been worse, then it would have been worth $30,000. I just got stitches, got sent home. But where I'm going with that, we have to bill for it because we have to be able to keep a station that is up to snuff, which we know where we're at, We have to be able to do the things that it takes for us to keep an employee base. And we know that we've got something coming around the corner that's gonna have to happen. We have to pay for that. Y'all know the story with me not getting a bill. If I got a bill and my insurance didn't pay for the $100 on a $500 transport, I'm paying the $400 because my wife may go to the hospital. And I expect y'all to come back and get us again. And if I have bad debt, I would expect, I know we don't, but I'd expect to have a problem getting them to come. I think that you ought to, my vote would be to increase it to $250. If we do get this legislation, increase it to $425. If we don't, we start seeing that people are having an impossible time paying, then we drop it back down. I'll be happy to go on the record of saying that, but we have to pay for our people. We have to keep our people, and we have to have somewhere nice. And I think we know it's coming around the bend right now. So that's my good feeling, and I'll shut up about it. But that's.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, do we have a motion for one of these recommended increases?
Can I ask one more question?
Mm-hmm.
When you're discharged from the hospital, I know if you're transferred, the physician will fill out a form that says whether it was medically necessary to be transferred. Do they do that when you're discharged in general? Is there a way for our billing to be based on whether it was medically necessary or not? The percentage that we charge? For example, if we have a different price for something that's deemed non-medically necessary than we do something that was medically necessary. There's a difference in using the service.
So the only rates you have, so years ago, you used to have the ability to itemize an ambulance bill, or you had to choose to take set rates. And now the only option is to go with, okay, if they're being discharged, it's probably gonna be a BLS non-emergency run. But there's no way to differentiate between them.
I was just trying to.
If it's not medically necessary, the insurance is gonna refuse to pay it, and they're gonna send it to the patient.
Okay, you said the majority of the EMS services are operating 200% of the medical base, right?
That is what our billing company, when I asked her where people typically at, she said most people are around the 200, 225 mark.
So if we're in Giles County and we get these same codes, are they comparable rates?
So
I know we were way lower than them a few years ago.
right, we were, and I think their rates are still a little bit lower than ours, but I do know that I talked to their new director last week. They are in the process, because he wanted our rates, they're in the process of increasing their rates as well.
What about Murray Regional's ambulance service?
I'm unaware of
You
their
never
rates.
got a bill from them, let me tell you something. That is junk.
We ain't touching it, are we?
Is it
This is
fair?
how they build that new building up there.
Is it fair to say that either we bill the property owners by not raising it, or we bill the people using it by raising it?
So
If we don't raise the rates, is it fair to say that we are billing all the property owners for
That's
the
right.
difference?
People not
And
using
if we raise the rates, we're passing that on to
To
the
people
people
that are
utilizing the service more often. I mean, somebody's gonna have to pay one way or the other. I'm just asking if that's a fair.
That's
way.
exactly right. That's why I made that comment earlier, that property taxes are here to meet the law's requirement. And then if you've got to use that service, you need to be the person paying for that. Don't spread that out on all the property owners. That's the way I look at it as far as being fair, right?
I agree. I think one of the biggest things we're missing though is without having a collections in place, we can set rates as high as we want to. Ultimately, you're gonna have a few responsible people that are gonna work really hard to pay their bills. And they're gonna pay their bill, but they're gonna have to pay, even more money, and you're still having a lot of people slide through that aren't gonna pay because you don't have any way to enforce them or incentivize it for them to pay.
Correct.
So I think we need to explore the option of having a collections,
Just re-propose the bid. I mean, because we did not get any takers on that bid.
When talking with Brandy, we know it was put in the newspaper, but aside from that,
And it's put online. Now,
She was unsure if it had ever been put anywhere other than that.
Yeah, I'll double back with Brandon.
Could it be done, could we have an employee that does that job and pay for it and wing the property?
We talked about having in-house collections across the board, you know, creating that position, it would have more than pay for itself.
And it didn't work.
Oh, okay.
It didn't.
No. Because once again, the county attorney had to take up the collection,
And then we get billed for that.
and then we get billed for that, and then,
I don't know that there's any local, when I say local, I mean the region, collection agencies like there used to be. I know there used to be one in Columbia and there was one in Franklin, but.
It seems to be getting more consolidated.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, it's not something that has to be local, it could be somebody in Oklahoma that's doing it for us or whatever, you know. And if it's just running in the newspaper, they wouldn't know about it, so
If they say
we find out a way to get the word out better.
700.
Can you refigure one at 225? I mean, you ain't gotta do it now, but that would be falling in the middle. You said somebody was at 225?
She said that some of their services were.
Falling in between.
ALS non-emergency was 411.64.
At what percentage?
225.
225. The line between 2 and 2.
Yeah, right here.
ALS emergency would be 651. No, hold on. Looking at the wrong line.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
you're going down there, I was wondering.
Can there be a resident, a non-resident?
Hold on.
Well, you have licenses that way.
You talking about American citizen rate or Lawrence County?
No, I'm
Yeah,
saying,
property tax
like,
payer.
yeah, if you're paying for some of the services.
Yeah.
ALS non-emergency would be 740.95.
We're not at the max.
A property owner rate or not.
Yeah, that's what he said, yeah, that's what he
Make a
said.
motion to just do 225% Medicare allowance.
That's right.
You'll figure it out then.
Yeah, we can figure it out.
If you want a motion, I'll change it.
I don't know the name of the company off the top of my head, but they're doing better because the rate got changed to where they actually will send out.
You got a motion for 225.
I'll make a
Motion.
I'll go with 225, and he's gonna figure it, but it's definitely gonna fall between these two areas here.
All right, Mr. Luffin makes a motion, 225% of the Medicare allowable. And Mr. Hagan seconds that. Do we have any further discussion?
Well, let me add, and then, now is that, with that 2% already included, or is it?
That would be, so yeah, it would be the 225%, would just be straight.
But that, what was that 2% we were talking about?
2% is what Medicare raised theirs. So-
Right,
so-
And it's already calculated in?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've been looking at that next year to go up 2% or the 400% if it passes.
Right, so we wouldn't, if we're at 225, we wouldn't have to raise them till for a while. Yeah.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. All
I
right,
have one last thing, only other thing that we had on our agenda for an update. On the back sheet, you can see there's a monthly report from January. You can look through that. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. The page right before that is our ambulance fleet status. That gives you an idea. This is as of this last Sunday. All ambulances that we have, what year model they are they four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive, and what mileage are on those trucks.
good information, yeah.
Our fleet is getting on up in age. We're as of January 31st, we had used 72.95% of our vehicle maintenance budget for the year already. Because as the age of our fleet increases, the cost to maintain that fleet increases. So we have down at the bottom, you can see some symbols that tells you if the truck is over, near, or above 10 years old. We have something that shows you if it's over 200,000 miles. If the truck's over 200,000 miles, state EMS requires it to have additional annual inspections every so often. So that's additional costs that we have to incur. And then also it shows you trucks that are over 300,000 miles or nearing that level. 205 is a truck that we purchase used. It's a 2012 model. It only has 62,000 miles on but it is becoming extremely difficult to find parts. We had some airbag issues on that truck, and
Is that one of the-
almost,
Is that one of the used ones we purchased?
yes, it was almost impossible to purchase parts for the airbag system on that truck. We almost had to essentially rebuild the entire airbag system on that truck, and it's the truck that nobody wants to run out of unless they just absolutely have to.
Why is that?
It's just, the box is so big and it's on a bigger chassis. Our crews are used to F350 chassis. It's on an F450 chassis with a really big box on it. Really big box, puts a lot of movement in the back. It's a little more difficult to keep between the lines. It's possible, but it's just difficult.
What can we get out of it for solar?
That is a good question. It's probably worth more as a chassis without the box on it, to be honest.
We'll be glad to take that if you want rid of it.
Is this one of the ones that we bought that was something, what, military surplus or something?
Correct.
We have any idea how many hours, not miles, how many hours is on this thing?
It had, I don't know the exact number, but I did look at that when we purchased it to make sure it didn't just sit and run. It was a unit that sat in a bay and never got run unless there was a call on a military base.
Okay, so it wasn't astronomical hours, it was just raw miles.
Yeah, so we did look at that. So the reason I bring that up, the state just sent out EMS equipment grants. Tennessee EMS, if you submitted a request for some equipment money, they split all the money the state had among every service and sent a contract to each service to say, hey, here's some money to use towards some equipment. It is nowhere near enough to buy an ambulance. It's $30,000.
Thank you, State of Tennessee, we appreciate it.
Yeah, now, there's some more federal money that may be coming down the line in the future from rural health money. However, there are some trucks available right now. I talked to some vendors at TASA last week. Siddons Martin has a truck that's available now. The only issue is it's a 2-wheel drive truck. They'll have some 4-wheel drive trucks available in June. EEP has a 4-wheel drive truck that is available right now, as well as a 2-wheel drive truck. We could potentially buy an ambulance if we use that EMS equipment money from the state for around $180,000. We're never going to buy an ambulance for $180,000 ever again. Just something to think about. Our fleet is aging. We honestly, to catch up, you got to think we have 8 trucks. If we buy 1 truck a year, it's 8 years before we've replaced our entire fleet. To catch up, we're going to have to buy a couple trucks. That's only issue with that EMS equipment grant money is it has to be used by June 30th, and the equipment has to be in hand.
So we can buy a brand new one right now for $180,000.
So the trucks that Sid and Martin had, their 2-wheel drive truck is $210,755. You take the $30,000 off of it, you're around $180,000. EEP has a 2-wheel drive truck for $206,000. They have a 4-wheel drive truck that's available right now. It's a little more expensive. It's $245,000. So you'd be paying about $215,000 for a brand new 4-wheel drive ambulance. That's exactly like the trucks that we have right now. They're Crestline, CCL 150s. Exact same box setup.
Everybody will want to drive that one, not skip that one.
What we will do is one of our mainline trucks will go to a reserve truck, and then that new truck would be put as a frontline truck.
Is this 61,000 mile truck here, this 205, is it a reserve truck right now?
It is. It's a reserve truck.
So we bought it to be a reserve or to be a frontline?
So it was bought to be a reserve truck.
Okay. All right. Sorry, yeah, Mr. Sutherland.
Has he got eyes in the back of his head?
I saw you.
He turned around and looked at me.
I saw
I'm like, whoa here. You used to be a teacher or something.
I teach every once in a while.
No, I'm just curious, is that a turnkey come equipped that way, or are we buying the bear truck and then we
So what
put
would
all our equipment in it? Or
So what we would do is we would buy the truck that we take out of service, all the equipment that we take out of that truck that's coming out of service would go into that unit. The only additional cost that I could see is we have to take the radios out of our current unit, install them in the new unit. We have to take the power structure loading system out of the current unit and put it in the new unit. But we're talking probably a few $1,000s.
And we didn't pay, the company typically does that for us. So we-
So we have a local company that does our radios typically, and then our company that we purchase our
They
power
come
structures,
do it on
they have a
site.
guy who comes and does that on the site.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Could the
Price.
$30,000 grant be used just to buy a chassis and then remount? Or the box off of one of our existing trucks?
The
on the
issue
road?
with it is to get a chassis, you're looking at several months
Okay.
to buy a chassis, and this money has to be used by June.
You can't get it by June.
Just from personal experience, where I used to work, we did that all the time.
Yeah.
That is a maintenance problem and a half if it's not done correctly. They leak, they don't stay sealed, wiring, my personal opinion, when I had to drive them things, absolutely not, they're a nightmare.
We have looked into that process long-term, remounts. Select Tech is the closest place, they're 12 to 14 months out to do a remount. Somebody had asked, and I apologize because I don't know who asked me this question, but somebody had asked me at one point, do the companies have lease programs? I've looked into that. It's not really, the only thing that any service calls a lease is not an actual lease. It's you're buying a truck and you're just gonna make payments on it over 3 years and then you own it. But they don't cover the maintenance on it. It's your truck, you're just making payments. It's not really a lease.
What's the warranty on these?
I believe it's 5. Don't hold me to that. It's either 3 or 5.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to send this to budget and let them hash it out.
So with the recommendation of the EMS committee, your motion will be to buy this particular one
Yeah, whichever one you think for $180,000, whatever, with a grant.
about 210.
Yeah.
And we also need to
Oh,
remember
is
that.
adding more money to it?
No. Just understand because there was 2 other trucks that I would have pushed tonight that was available last week. I called the man today and said, "Are the trucks still available?" And he said they sold yesterday. So there are 4 trucks.
Tell him,
Call and tell him we got a motion.
hold it for us, Dave, you know?
So we those 4 trucks. Just make sure you understand. We may have to buy what's available, but the most we would have to spend would be 200.
I'm still on the motion.
And would you agree that we'd be crazy not to buy a 4-wheel drive anything?
Yes.
I mean, y'all agree with that?
I agree with that 100%. All right, we got a motion, we've got a second. Any further discussion? We can pass this purchase on the budget committee, make sure it passes the sniff test on all legalities and all that. All right, all in favor? Any opposed? So moved. All right, thank you, Kane, for
Thank
the
you guys.
updates.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. Yes, sir. Make some people drive that 67,000 miles. I don't care what you like, you drive.
Suck it up.
Maybe
Rub some
surplus
dirt
to
on
get
it.
some funds to put toward that.
Yeah.
It's still low enough mileage, we bought it, somebody else.
That's true. Somebody would like that on it. Yeah, somewhere.
Might not be one you want to drive in Nashville, but it might be one you drive around here. Takes up more space there. All right, let's move on now to county fire. Mr. Tyler McDowell, I'm gonna turn it over to you, give us an update on what's going on with county fire. First, before we get into it, I just wanna say, again, with EMS and EMA, everybody, county fire, I mean, this ice situation, it was tough especially up in Phillips District up that way and Anthony. But you guys just really knocked it out of the park and took care of business, and then it's gone, and LUS even has gone over to other counties and helped. And I was at Tennessee County Service Association meeting Monday and Tuesday, and a lot of people were very thankful. Several of the county executives from surrounding counties were very thankful that Lawrence County was able to reach out and help them. So I just love how everybody works together in those scenarios. It's a blessing. And this committee kind of reflects that too. I'm glad we're all working together. So go ahead.
I appreciate the teamwork aspect of it. Like you said, there's not any agency represented here that didn't work together. You guys were in and out, commissioners. I think it went great. I appreciate everybody's help. It's been a minute since we've had one of these meetings, so I'm gonna try to go through this quick, because I know everybody probably like to eat tonight. But I left a lot of stuff off, but I want to start out by saying we got our Tennessee annual comptroller reporting stuff back, 100% accuracy and 100% met the deadline again. So it's 2 years in a row that we have met the deadline or been early. Ever since we put the increased funding from you guys and the contracts were put in place for compliancy, we have had no issues on that side of it. So for anybody that wants to know how it goes, we have Erica Norwood that works in our office, and she receives the financial statements and all the contract required information from everybody. She works 1 day a week, so she processes all that information, make sure that you have what you're supposed to have. If you don't have it, you don't get your draw check. There's certain things, there are criteria that is, a big no-no, and we'll go over some of that in a second. But then also we pay a CPA to do a third party on ours. So everybody knows why, but because of what we've done in the past, we're here with this, and it's good to hear 100%. Made it on time. In the past few months, when we talk about compliancy, we've had issues with 2 departments, 2 stations that had some compliancy issues on their funding with their contract. We learned about 4 months ago that we had a station that was trying to obtain a loan for around $550,000 for a fire truck, which is, as bad as that sounds, they're about $1 million or a little more now, some of them. So the problem was there was a little confusion that they could make the payment and couldn't. Thankfully, we found out about that ahead of time. We brought them in, talked with them, explained the situation, showed them the error of their ways. They, along with the rest of the board, agreed to take action and change the administration of that station due to that issue and some more underlying issues. Even that department voted to change the administration. A few days later, when we presented a plan on how we were going to rectify we had several people that were previously on the department decide they didn't want to be on the department anymore. Started out with 6 members that night. We left with 11 after those left. Actually, we had 8 and went down. There was 2 left of the original department, but people that had not been allowed to be members of the department joined back up. Our trained firefighters joined up, and since then we've just been working our way out of the hole. Just to let you know, we keep up with how much debt everyone has. We do a forecasting form that says, these are the items I need that I can afford this year. These are the items I need that I can't afford. This is how much debt I have. This is how much turnout gear I have that's in date. This is how much that's out of date. Things like that. Before that $550,000 debt was about to be incurred, the county-wide debt was under $500,000. So one department was fixing to take. We were a lot more than that before. We really whittled it down. And as part of taking care of this situation, we actually moved a tanker. The department was buying a tanker. They sold their other one, basically gave it away too cheap, and we lost a truck, so we had to have another one. So instead of buying one from somebody else, we bought one from the department that had 2, and moved some debt. So we're working on a lot of teamwork initiative going on. Matter of fact, we had a new prospect found us a tanker to use, and then had one tear up last week. Ethics found us one. So everything's going pretty good on that side of it. The other department, just most recently, we had some compliancy issues. The board voted to take action on it, and the action they voted to take was we're going to let them keep operating the call response and all that. They just need some help with their administrative duties. So we have the board voted to take care of that. We purchased a fire reporting system for them, which was one of their compliancy issues. We've got them filling out paper reports, and one of our people that's working during the day goes down there once a week, gets their reports, enters them in the system for them. We fixed that. Working on fixing some of the other little problems, but basically there's no big.
And that leader voted for all of that. Matter of fact, she was very thankful that you would help with that, right?
So it's, we're just handling our own business, trying to, and there's been no wars that I've saw yet. Some Facebook people from the outside have problems with some of it, but everybody involved inside is doing good with it. So that's where we're at on compliancy. So far this year, just in this 2-month period, we've had 13 reported structure fires. we've actually had 4 people injured, not our firefighters, just residents. And I don't mean just, I'm just saying we've had residents injured. So about one of those fires, I want to say that we had a very heroic little girl that was able to rescue her grandmother from the house as soon as it happened about 4 o'clock in the morning. We're thinking as a result of a wood stove. I think the pipe fell down based off witness accounts. There's already a lot of fire in the attic, so the house was consumed with flames and heat pretty quick. When we got the initial call, they already told us that we had somebody that was injured. We got there, not only was the elderly female injured, but the granddaughter was. The elderly female was not really able to walk out on her own in regular circumstances, so that child made the decision to put her grandmother's life in front of hers and was able to get her out of the house.
So I read about that and heard the thing you told me about it. I would love for us to honor her, recognize her like as an honorary
We're
Lawrence
working on
County
that.
Fire and Rescue member, this young girl.
Definitely.
I just think that would help. First of all, it would just honor her for what she did. It's heroic. But then too, I think it'll just give us some good exposure that, look, man, this is something, good to be a part of.
Yeah, we're gonna try to sign her up,
Increase
too.
you guys. Yeah, sign her up. It sounds like she already knows what's up.
But we are working on that. We haven't got to talk to the parents since everybody got back. We wanted to make sure, we thought about trying to incorporate it in school to get some recognition for her there, because she did a good job, but also explain what's going on. I'll tell you, we've had 7 residential structure fires in these 2 months. The smoke alarms were not in the homes, and we have a smoke alarm program. We were down to about 20. That's the only reason we hadn't really put this out and pushed it. But I've been up back and forth with the fire marshal's office this week and last week. We're going to try to get at least 200 more, and the people we got working during the day can help get them put out. But also I applied for carbon monoxide detectors this time too, because they have free carbon monoxide detectors. So we're going to try to get those in the homes. But with that amount of people in both fires that people were injured in, there were no working smoke alarms in the home. So we really want to make a big push on that. We just didn't want to make a push and not have the materials to hand out. So that's on our agenda coming up. We have one thing about just about every structure fire we've had, with the exception of 2 of them, we've had water system issues. It's hard to put fire out without water. And I want to go to, we actually had a training with ISO, Insurance Services Office. They're the ones that do they help insurance companies score your insurance rates based off fire protection. Well, they call it community risk reduction. Chief Moore was in the class today. And I made some notes from the very beginning. And the thing that I found the most intriguing that a lot of people probably don't know is it's called Community Risk Survey, not Fire Department Survey. And the reason that is because your score, even though oftentimes it's credited to the fire department, your score, 40 points of your score, 40% of your score is from the water system. Another percentage of your points is from your 911 district and how your call system is set up. The rest of it's on us at the fire department. So there's only so much we can do if everybody doesn't work together. So the goal they wanted us to lead with was mend, build, and overbuild relationships with your local utilities and make them understand what's going on. So with that being said, when they grade your water system, they grade it based off what can your water system produce, how many gallons can we produce, and then how much is consumed by the citizens in your district. And then whatever amount of water production is left over what is consumed is all that can be scored for fire protection use. So
makes sense.
So yeah, if we for easy math, if we do 150,000 gallons an hour, and consumption's 100,000 gallons an hour, 50,000 gallons an hour is all that can be used for that, for fire, and that's what your grade is based off of. So it counts storage systems, it counts pump size, hydrants, and we've all been down that road with the grants. The grants are issued with 6-inch lines with hydrants, and then they end up getting cut down to 4-inch, so people don't have to go flush the lines, or because we can get another half mile further. we really need to be sticking to our guns on the 6 inch. And I know it's a different committee, but that's some things we need to look at. And this brought up too, one of the questions one of the statements that's always made is, hey, we're not in the fire protection business, we're in the drinking water business. According to the TAUD and according to ISO, if you put one fire hydrant on your system, you're in the fire protection business and you're expected to meet those expectations. So the rest of it was about hydrant maintenance, pressure testing, things that we're all working on already. So that was what the ISO training was about today. Moving on, we've added one more station. We got 2 weeks left probably before we're done on adding another station to the emergency medical responder program. And that's one of the rehabilitated stations that we've discussed. It'd be Leoma, covers a big area, Leoma, all the way down to Busby Road to where it meets the West Point Fire District. So that puts, I think, 8 is what we said, 8 of the 13. We got a new recruit class starting Monday, so the 16-hour mandatory state training will begin Monday, followed immediately by the 64-hour, and then we will schedule a live burn after that. So we've got a pretty full class. We got people from Loretta and St. Joseph that are participating in that class too. And once they complete those classes and the live burn here, they leave with the same certification that you'd have to drive to Bell Buckle to get.
Nice.
That's
Is that something that other people are coming here to do?
We actually had Wayne County last year. Had probably 6 or 8 people from Wayne County. Chief Moore's staff helps do some of the.
Let's steal the business from Bell Buckle, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think there's any profit here. I think it costs $14. I think. Yeah, but
help keep the lights up.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
You got here, you ain't got to travel off.
Right? Yeah,
it saves our guys money.
Yeah. So winter storm, we did about 277 calls during that, trees down, stuff like that. Like y'all said, just repeating, everybody did a great job working together. We were able to staff some stations around the clock. One thing that we did see though is something we've always known: we haven't been very prepared for power failures because we've never been able to afford to. We had something happen that I'll tell you about here in a second that allowed us to free up some money that we were going to have to spend to buy some turnout gear and stuff with. So as of right now, 8 of the stations have grouped together, and there may be some more. A couple of them already had them, but to put generators with automatic transfer switches on the stations. We went together on that project, got a whole lot better rate, a group rate. We got, not only that, Shelton's applied for a grant to get generators on a lot of the critical infrastructure. Shane, you're probably involved in that too. My understanding is 80%. If it goes through, 80% probably pay back. So if we don't, if the grant's not obtained, we still have to have them. If they do get the grant, that's great. They've helped us out tremendously. We'll get 80% of our money back, is my understanding. But our thought process on that is when the power goes out, a lot of people in our communities have wells that they get their water from. Even if we had to distribute items during an ice storm, something like that, those stations can be places that they come by pick up. If we have water still, we have power, you can get water, take it with you. And we also looked at, we've had our insurance claims. We have about 2 a year where we hit a garage door during a power failure. We're used to automatic garage door openers in our stations. Garage doors are heavy when they're 14 feet tall, and honestly, we have them serviced, but we probably don't realize how much the springs relax when the motor's doing all the job. So we've had almost two a year. We average, the door falls down some, and it looks like it's still there. In the truck, there's just barely any clearance, so we back in or pull out, and the door's not all the way up when you push it up. So basically, we'd save the money for the doors and the truck repairs by having automatic transfer generators. So those will be being installed in the near future. The thing I was telling you about that freed up a little money for the departments is 10 departments were awarded grants from State Tennessee VFEED grant for a total of $529,312. very helpful. Most of us return out gear, SCBAs, compressors to fill our SCBAs, and some just standard engine equipment. Fire hose is terribly high now, the adapters, the nozzles, things like that. So 10 of our 13 stations were awarded it, and I assume the other 3 are probably that didn't get this, are gonna put in for the rescue squad grant and try to get it on that side, so.
How much was that per station?
Well, it's different. One station got 94,000, one got 50. We just, it
It's
averaged about
500 what
50,000.
altogether?
$529,312. And I've got the breakdown. I can give you, if y'all wanna know where it went, I can tell you right quick. Just take a second, but,
No, it's all right, you good.
okay. So,
That's an email we can send out there.
yeah, the only other thing I really got, I don't have, we're working, everybody is joined up for the most part on the same fire reporting system, which is a huge thing, that we had trouble as a goal for us to get that. The problem is we're still, even though we operate a lot like one department, we're still all separate. Everybody has their own FDID, so each station has to have their own, we all pay our own fee. So probably about 30 grand a year goes to that. With that, I'm not able to see everybody's round numbers to give you a report like Kane can print that says countywide, this is what we responded to. But they, South Carolina did a statewide program with the same company we have, and they required that feature to be enabled on it because they're so much like us. So in the near future, I will be able to. But for today, I'm going to share with you a little update on the day crew that we have. You know, in August, we asked you guys over the budget time for 3 positions part-time during the day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, to help during our most desolate times of membership. And I want to give you a little update on that. Since then, you know, we started out with 3 people in Lawrenceburg at the training center. We saw how much more effective we could be if we moved everybody out. So we got together as the board actually came up with this and said, hey, I asked for 1 more person where we could split instead of having 3, have 2 and 2. And when the board got together, they said, no, we want to do 2 more. And they wanted to pay for it out of their own budget. So the departments came with money. They saw such an impact of the program that they pulled money out of their budgets to put toward 2 other people. So now we have 2 people at the Etheridge station, Monday through Friday. We have 2 people at the Leona station, and we have 1 in the middle at the training center. I wish that was 2, but we got 1 right now. That's 1 person that gets there quicker to help the other crew. But just in the last month, when I walked in here today, or last 2 months almost, we ran 102 calls during the day during that time period. 21 of those are fires. 7 of those calls were structure fires. 8 of them were brush and grass fires. 4 were vehicle fires. 2 were trash and rubbish fires. 21 motor vehicle crashes, and of those 21, 7 people had to be cut out of a car and extricated. Cardiac arrest, we ran 7. That's just, I mean, I can show you a pie chart, but there's more calls than that. That's just the big hitters. Our response times, getting a truck on the road used to average 12 to 17 minutes during the daytime, and we're doing it in under 2.
That's saving lives, man.
No doubt. I just want to thank everybody for allowing us to try this out. I guarantee you that you're going to see people that's lives have been changed by it. And also, I've got chiefs that tell me that their day is much better because they don't have to plan their day around making sure somebody's there. You know, I can go to work and do my job, is what they say, and make sure somebody, they're still leaving and coming, but it's just a huge relief for them. I mentioned the smoke alarm program. We're going to utilize those personnel to do that. But also we started a fire prevention in the schools training. One thing that we had not got to do in years. Number 1, fire prevention week always lands on fall break. And just us kicking it around, we think we're missing the boat on getting kids interested in seeing the fire trucks and wanting to be volunteers. And maybe that's why we're short when it gets one of the reasons. So we're going to make a big push for that. We sent some stuff out to the schools. We did some social media stuff. We've only had a couple of the classes, but if they will allow us, we're going to be there for it. So that's about all I've got. I just,
We'll talk a little bit about the forestry situation. You talked to
oh
me about
yeah,
the other day.
I'd love to.
We don't have to get too deep in it, just kind of give us a little overview of what's going on with forestry. This is something that Tyler brought to my attention.
You gonna get the website redone?
Man.
Burn permits?
I'd like to just get them the issue there and put it with us, just to be honest with you.
Well, they're not helping, they're just not giving the mutual aid they're supposed to be
I
giving.
want to start out by saying our local people that work for forestry are amazing people. Everybody's got a boss, if y'all understand where
Yep.
I'm going. We have went to meeting after meeting. We have even got Clay to help us out set up a meeting. I know Shane was there, Shelton, Jay, me, maybe some more people. They just really, our Tennessee Division of Forestry just really wants to go out west and fight fires and not help us at all. Is about all I can see. And we do pay some money every year. It's not a lot. Now I'll tell you, I think it's $1,000 or $2,000 a year, maybe. The one, two. But before we even had this staffing, we asked. They got to where they would not come to a grass fire and help us until we were on the scene. Now that's their dispatch protocol. It's not our local people. Like I say, we got some of the greatest people in the world work for forestry, but they got to do what they're told to do. But y'all, their policies and procedures are terrible as far as for helping out. They provide their personnel with brush trucks and trucks with bulldozers on them for these fires that we call them to, but they don't want to send anybody till we're on the scene. And
You
then,
got to evaluate the scene too,
right,
right?
exactly. And then on top of that, I don't know, I'll tell you, there's a grant that they give out that gives you a couple of backpack blowers, and I appreciate it, but you gotta sign a memorandum of understanding to be a part of it. Basically saying we're gonna come help them, and we all agreed not to sign it anymore, because they're not doing their part. So we haven't been putting in for that. There was a situation with a brush truck that was on loan from the Division of Forestry that was at Iron City. It wasn't the nicest thing in the world, but it worked good. And, Iron City was able to upgrade on their own accord and purchase one. And when they turned it back in, I asked for it ahead of time. Upper management, which this was after that meeting, and I'm sure I didn't make any friends with the director.
Any of us made any friends in that meeting.
But I asked for that, and they didn't let us have it. They let it sit at the station for a little while, and then it sat out there for almost a year, because I drove by and checked on it. It was just kind of on my mind, you know? So I started firing off some emails, trying to get it whenever nobody wanted to talk on the phone. Well, suddenly, the vehicle had been sitting out there rotting for 7 or 8 months, up to a year. They sent an email to the staff out here, or a phone call, so they get some batteries put on it, see what's wrong with it, and get it over here. So they moved it from there to the Highland Rim District. I was told that they wanted to use it for deployments out west, because they can bill for it, just like we can if we go out west. But anyway, long story short, we never got it back, and we've had to buy some more brush trucks to replace it. He tried to get it back. I mean, we've tried every way in the world. I mean, it's just, they don't want to help
It's
you.
just aggravating.
So, I really don't want to negatively affect our local people at forestry. And I know we can't buy a bulldozer for $2,000, but I would really, before we pay them again, would like for us to question Ms. Heather Slayton on what they do.
Alright, maybe we could write,
I mean,
I could write something, we do official statement from this committee.
I'm calling Channel 4 at this point. We have been absolutely crucified over our comptroller stuff. I don't know why state tax dollars can't be looked at by the same people, because I'd like to know. I mean, if we're just gonna buy something to go to lunch in, we get them some Nissan Altimas. They don't have to be something that hauls a bulldozer in the United States. It's just, I'm not trying to be negative, but it's very frustrating. We had some brush fires this last week that.
Could've used it. I'm sorry to pick that scab off.
Oh, you're fine. I've been doing good.
Any other business? Go ahead.
I'll say this on Tyler's part, I mean,
every minute, what we're talking, you know? So why not send the guys that have stuff to put it out with, and then we'll get there and help them? Because we don't call them at night, and I want y'all to know also, we really need some legislation on burn permits, because they require a burn permit, but they're not enforced. And we're the ones that deal with that. So, long story short, when I questioned their dispatch protocol, she informed me, the director informed me, and everybody in there, that what system that they use to dispatch off of. She said, you may not be familiar with it. I said, I'm very familiar with it. Can you tell me what the acronym stands for? And she couldn't, and that's where it went downhill. But she was trying to explain to us a system that we use every day.
Wow.
And use that as the weapon while they're not helping us.
Just kind of like core math and regular math.
Yes.
Basically, is what it is.
Wow.
So I don't know what to do. I mean, I've never really been involved in a situation that we couldn't work something out, and here we are. I don't know.
Earthquake. We lose power for 7 days. Not unheard of, happened when Browns Ferry Square. Critical infrastructure that we need that stuff on. Shane's digging through, got stuff submitted now for approvals on our hazard mitigation where we can get eligible for some more hazard mitigation monies. Think about that stuff.
I don't know how, I know up at work, they were asking about it, but they said, I don't know how he's planning on doing it, but they said Wilson said he'd have a tanker sitting there and he could get fuel off of it for us.
Yes, he was gonna do that same method, basically where you hook a hose to it and use gravity to flow it down.
What about
Something
Round
messes
Creek
up
set
and
up
runs out
over
of
there?
Yeah, a lot of these,
Could we utilize Ryan's with the generator?
yeah, with some of these, we can make it happen for a day or two, but the volume is our big thing, getting it in there to him. That's gonna become